right, we are heading down to my buddy's shop over Engineered in Fresno, California. It's a Saturday morning. He is going to be doing a carb cleaning on my intake, in my valves, especially intake valves in the ports. The car's got 127,000 miles on it. They say around 80 to 100,000 miles the job can be done, or you can wait until you have symptoms. I had symptoms start around 120,000 miles. I thought it was spark plugs or coil packs because I hadn't changed those in a really long time. So I had them do the timing chain at 120,000 miles and the coil packs at the same time. I had already done the spark plugs just as a cautionary measure. The symptom is on a cold start, you will have a lot of hesitation, and when the car is cold, it'll kind of sputter a little bit. And I started to get that a little while ago. So now I'm going to be addressing that with him. It's about a 3-hour job, I think, but we'll confirm with him when we're down there, and we'll go through the whole process and show you how to do it and what to do and all of that. So I appreciate you taking a ride with me today, and hopefully this is interesting. It's something that's fairly common on all Volkswagen and Audi cars. It can be the 4 cylinders, the V6s, the V8s. They're all known to have this kind of carb buildup. And when they put those oil vapors back in, which you'll hear, I think, from Avery discuss, it ends up coating in on top of the valves, and that's where we get all those issues. So I hope you enjoy the video, and thanks so much. Take care. We are at Over Engineered in Fresno, California, and today what we're doing is working on the GTI. It's got 127,000 miles on it, and it needs a couple things. It needs a belt, which we're going to show you right now. We're actually going to try to do it differently than a lot of the videos on YouTube show, without removing this boost pipe, which you'll see in here. There's a plastic panel that goes right here, which we removed. It's like 5 Torx bits, and then the under tray that we removed just to do the oil change, which was really simple. But you can see there's 2 Torx fittings right here, and then normally they ask you to remove this boost pipe release and then that boost pipe release right up here, and then you just pull this hose out of the way to do it. But if we can do it without removing this, that means we could do it without removing this. So he did remove the belt already, and we got it around this pipe, and then the tensioner is right here, which you pull back to get it out of the way, and then you just have to put it on the alternator up there. So let's see if we can get this belt in now. Working with Avery here, my my master mechanic. So now, Avery, if we weren't accessing it from here and you were putting that belt on from underneath here, how would you have got it?
Underneath would have been difficult. I probably would have tackled this from the top, working my way down with just a flathead screwdriver to push it behind this charge pipe. But since we don't have this cover on, it helps out a whole lot, actually.
And then you're saying just remove the cover.
Yeah, remove the cover, remove the wheel off. It's probably good to do a rotate on your car anyway, so your wheels are already going to be off. Can we get that around? Let's go on the AC compressor first.
And then just
up there on the alternator.
How's it look?
That's it.
All right, so you can see it's everywhere there. It got on the pulley fine. So really, you don't have to remove this.
No, you can sandwich it between.
I guess after doing this, it shows that maybe removing this is fine, which ideally is best to do with the tire off, just because you get better access. But you might be able to turn the tire and just remove these and get this out of the way and not even have to take the tire off if you are doing this in your driveway with jacks. We drain the oil, which is right from here. What's the volume of oil this thing takes?
4.9 quarts.
So almost 5 quarts. And then we are in the process of doing the carbon clean on the intake. And so from underneath here, we took off this boost pipe, which is these clamps. You just pry off with a flathead screwdriver, and then the pipe comes right off. There's a little O-ring right here that's you can keep on and reuse it as long as It's not too bad, but again, this car's got 127,000 miles and we didn't need to do anything. And then there's a bracket, Avery, you were saying where, it's right.
There's a Torx 30 here.
Torx 30 here. This needs to be removed right above the base of the oil pan.
Up here, you're gonna have, if you can see it, this is your boost pressure sensor.
Okay.
You wanna undo that connector.
Undo the connector. Okay, yep. So that's just a plastic connector with a little lid on it, little lip.
Yeah, it's a little 4-pin connector that comes off really easy. You can do it from the top or the bottom. Since we were down here doing everything else, I just started doing it from the bottom.
But this is all we need to do from the bottom now.
Yes.
Okay.
We got to do one more connection at the top, then the charge pipe falls out through the bottom.
I rotated the tires too because I don't rotate these like I should, and this has a ton more tread on it than the front ones did. I mean, my right foot's a little heavy and I get on the gas quite a bit, so it needed a rotation. So it's a good thing I'm doing that now. It's never let me down. I mean, these are just bulletproof vehicles. So we'll show you Avery now here. So far what we did is remove the air box, which you can see is missing from here. These are just kind of interference fit brackets where once you remove this clamp, you remove this clamp right here, and then there's a air box right here. You pop off this guy, it's a little cover, and then this goes on the bottom, and these just snap in very easily to this spot. And then the whole air box comes out as one unit, which you'll see right here. We didn't even have to open it up or take anything out of the inside. There's the map sensor inside the air box there. But very easy to come off. This loop right here just gets removed from underneath from this hose. You never even have to take this hose off.
It's going to be your breather, your oil separator. It's going to put those nice, horrible oil vapors right back onto your valves. That's the whole issue of why we're here today, is we're going to decarb these valves from all the oil deposits that are on here. The cold start, you're going to find some rough idling. Maybe your check engine light's going to start flashing at you. At cold start, once it gets warm, the carbon kind of warms up. It doesn't cause a whole lot of turbulence in the air anymore, so then it's normally fine. So cold start misfires is what I'd like to hear from a customer when I go in to do this decarb. Volkswagen doesn't have a recommended service interval for this, but probably around 80,000 miles isn't a bad thing. Another thing people do after doing the decarb is they'll do an oil catch can, which removes the breather system, puts as a secondary catch can of sorts over here, and it just takes all your oil vapors, put it over here instead of on your valves. That way it can stay nice and clean and you don't have to pay for this service at least twice every 100,000 miles.
So as I mentioned, this car has 127,000 miles on it. We're doing this now for the first time. I didn't notice any stumbling at idle until it was maybe about 110, 115,000 miles. And I thought it was spark plugs or coil packs or something like that, which when we did the timing chain, we actually changed the spark plugs and the coil packs. So those are all new. That issue did not go away, those symptoms. And that's when you had mentioned what we need to do is carb clean. So if in your shop, when you're doing this for customers, what engines, obviously this is a 2-liter turbo with a Volkswagen, but I know these engines are used in a lot of different things. Is this problem common in other cars? And then secondly, what typically hourly time do you have into this, and what would a customer expect to pay to get this done?
So this isn't unique to Volkswagen or Audi. This is unique to any car that uses a direct injection fuel source. So direct injection is going to be where your fuel injector sprays directly into your combustion chamber instead of spraying on top of your valves. So many different Audis use this, the 3 liters, the 4 liters, or the 4.2 liters, the V8s. I know BMWs do this, Mercedes do this. This is a very common German car thing for oil deposits to build up on top of the valves and cause this rough start misfire. Good fuel and quality oil and oil changes will definitely help prolong this for a very long time. Always use 91. I don't care what the sticker says in the door. Sometimes it says you can use 89. Treat your car right, treat your body right. It's all going to work out in the end. This car, we probably are going to spend about 2.5 hours doing this. Intake manifold kind of being about half the issue there, or half the time there. And we end up spending about 15 minutes cleaning each cylinder manually. I prefer manually. A lot of people will do walnut blasting or other very abrasive things that could get stuck in the engine. Not necessarily bad. I've done it before. I learned with Volkswagen that some brake clean, zip ties, and some plastic picks go a long way, and it may not be 100% brand new, but I don't have to worry about a messy cleanup afterwards from the walnut, or the potential that a walnut shell getting stuck inside of the combustion chamber in between a piston and the wall and causing some damage. We got to remove the oil filter, which we did already for the oil change. We'll finish getting this breather line out, this breather line out, free up a couple electrical connectors here. There's a bulk here that we will disconnect. There's going to be a high pressure fuel sensor here that we'll have to disconnect. Throttle body will come off.
Now, do we clean the throttle body as well, or no?
We can, yeah. If it's dirty, we'll definitely clean everything so that we're not coming back in here in 2 weeks going, hey, having some sluggish throttle response.
Okay.
We'll disconnect our high pressure fuel line there. And then what we cannot see is there's a bracket that goes between the intake manifold and the block. A triple square bit and a 13 will get that bracket off.
So a triple square bit, for the people that don't know, is basically a 12-point.
Yeah, an inverted 12-point.
Inverted 12-point, okay. Well, great. Well, I'm going to pause real quick here, and then we'll get started with the removal of all this stuff. So what are these called?
This is your carbon deposit. This is your oil vapors just building up.
What is this plate though?
Oh, this is your, yeah, it tumbles your air. So inside of your intake manifold, you can see how nasty this is. And if it's on here, it's on your valve.
Yeah, that's just one side. He just started. Bring that up
So
to the
you can see there's just chunks. So these will go right in front of your intake manifold like this.
Yep.
And this tumbles your air. So based on your throttle input, about 3,000 RPM, it's going to be up like this, and it's going to shoot the air up and over. So you're idle. And you can see your carbon on here. It's going to tumble that air a little bit. Full throttle, anything over 1,000, it opens it up, and then this, it just runs right over this. So
under and over.
Under and over. So usually up and over when under 3,000 RPMs. Cold start definitely. Full throttle, all the air in the world. We're going fast. It doesn't even care what this is. But that's how you get your cold start misfires, is blockage of air, tumbling the air incorrectly, and yeah, you can see just mountains of it.
Wow. That's impressively bad.
And this is why you get this done before 100,000 miles, before you have symptoms. It's definitely a hard sell when you don't have symptoms and someone's not really forum-based and knowing what's going on. So that's why I say wait until you have a cold start misfire, and then it makes sense to sell it.
Not the car, but
Correct, not the car.
Yeah,
not the
but
car.
To sell
Still
the procedure.
service.
Yeah, sell the service. Yeah. So what does this service typically run? I mean, you had, obviously there's gaskets involved.
Yeah, a couple gaskets. It's gonna be dependent on with the shop you go to. You know, dealership's gonna be a whole lot more than an independent repair. So like I said, this will probably take us about 2.5 hours. My hourly rate at 150, so we're looking at $350 on labor, not a couple hundred bucks in gaskets, but maybe $50 or so in gaskets. So we're looking about $400 for a GTI. If you have a V8, you have a V6, it's really going to be dependent on the R&R time for this intake manifold. This is going to vary based on different cars, different models. So this is the bulk of your time, and like I said, you spend about 15 to 20 minutes per cylinder. So we have 4 cylinders. We're going to spend about an hour cleaning.
If you took this to the dealer and had them do a carbon clean,
a dealer, you know, their hourly rate's going to be a whole lot higher. Their parts rates are going to be a whole lot higher. Probably not uncommon to see almost double what we're paying today.
Wow. Awesome. Well, let's get after this. We're going to clean the rest of these. Obviously, he had mentioned he's cleaning them with a razor blade, getting the majority of the gunk off. Then we're going to brake clean.
If we can get on the video, the valves. Can we see in there?
Oh yeah, look at the caking on the. Wow, look at all that in there. I don't know if you can see this on film, but it's. You can see the.
We can take a good picture and maybe throw it in.
Yep.
Pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah. So we're gonna be how do you clean in there? Because obviously.
So I use the Volkswagen method, which is just honestly a handful of zip ties, some brake clean. You let it kind of cake off. You scrub it off.
What are the zip ties for?
It's non-abrasive, so you're not damaging anything.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, you take a whole bulk of them, you zip tie them together, and you kind of scrub it.
That's a first. I never heard that before, but hey, it's the Volkswagen way apparently. Awesome. Let's get after this.
So right now we have 3 cylinders closed. This is closed, this is closed, this is open, this is closed. So this means there's a tendency for things to fall into this combustion chamber. So what I'll do is I'm cleaning all this up. I'm gonna tape this off. I'm gonna tape off our fuel injectors so that nothing that we use, no chemicals or carbon, get inside any holes while we're cleaning. And then, once I do these 3, we'll rotate the engine over so that these valves are closed, and then we'll tape off these 3, and then we'll do this 1 valve.
You can see how big that chunk of carbon is. He just took that out of one of the cylinders. Or one of the intake ports, I mean, but do you want to talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, so very carefully, I'm kind of picking away some of the hard carbon right now. Then we're gonna soak it, scrub it. Did I bring the special tool over here? Volkswagen special tool?
Yeah, so what he's doing,
This is Volkswagen special tool to not cause damage.
This is a tech tip. And what he's using is zip ties. Another perfect use for a zip tie. There's like a million of them, right? This is a million number 1.
How to fix your Volkswagen with zip ties. But yeah, we'll basically do this. I'm just kind of picking out a little bit of carbon, getting it off so that when we spray brake clean or carb clean in there, it'll be more aggressive. It'll get down to the base. But basically, once the brake clean's in there, we're just gonna go in and scrub like this. You know, zip ties aren't gonna damage any of the cylinder walls. If you're damaging something with plastic, you had some underlying issues to begin with anyway. But yeah, you'll just go in, you'll scrub, it'll kind of take things away. Again, is it perfect like carbon walnut blasting or dry ice blasting? No. Does it get the job done? Absolutely, and it's less of a mess. You treat your car as well, so this is something I've seen worse on cars with fewer miles at the dealership for sure.
Is that tool easy to purchase?
No, there's a few different places that sell that tool. If you have a 3D printer, I think there's a program for it, so you can print it at home and not ever have to leave. Well, I guess you wouldn't have to leave if you order online anyway.
It's true. It's true. Cool.
Yeah, you can see it's starting to rip up a little bit now. So we just do a couple passes.
Yeah, it's crazy how, I mean, all the major debris is gone. So now you can see we filled it with brake cleaner, and it's just sitting in there. And since all the valves are closed, it's like a little dirty mud pit. And we're letting the brake cleaner kind of get into the carbon and break it down so that when we suck it out, we're getting everything with it. All right, so here is cylinder one. You can see really clean in there. I mean, it's not gonna look obviously brand new, but cylinder two, after our zip tie technique. Three, we have not done yet. So we got some of the clumps off, the big clumps earlier, just pulling them off, but we gotta close the valves. And then this is number four, which has also been done. Got nice that looks in there. And clean as a whistle as far as I'm concerned, but. All right, so we're done. We did the carb cleaning. It took maybe 3 hours, and that was with filming, 3.5 with filming. It came out great, as you'll see in the video. The car runs really well. I mean, it was cold when we started it back up, of course. We also did an oil change, and it seems a little more peppy. It wasn't a true cold start, and obviously there's a little residue in there when you start the car up, so you tend to get a couple stumbles. But tomorrow morning will be the telltale sign what it rides like and idles like and starts like in the morning. But it was disgusting, and I'm so thankful that we did that. And I'll probably own it, who knows, maybe for another 100,000 miles. So doing these, you know, kind of preventative maintenance measures, even though I waited till there were symptoms and didn't do it when I probably should have, to be honest, which, you know, maybe it was affecting fuel economy. I'm not really sure of all the effects there, or all the effects of not waiting to do it. Kind of got a clean bill of health to some extent, at least in that space. And then we also did the serpentine belt, which we showed you in the video, and that's a common thing that people remove a boost pipe to get into, but yet we found out we did not need to do that, and really it made it a lot simpler. I mean, why remove things if you don't have to? So we really appreciate you watching the video, and please, as you know, as I always ask, please click like and subscribe, and hit the notification button if you want to see when I put up new videos. Hopefully these are informative for you, whether it's just general car information or you own a similar car to this. And thank you for watching. Take care.